Hey guys, what's going on? Brandon here with Exotic Cars 19. I know it's been a bit, but something about a worldwide pandemic kind of makes it hard to get some car content going. Everyone seems to want to back out of their plans, but better safe than sorry, I suppose. But that kind of limits me to the two vehicles I have, the GT350 and the Raptor, two vehicles I've already made plenty of videos with. However, although it's been a while since the last upload, it's kind of due in time for my yearly update I kind of started doing. Next month I'll be doing another one with the Shelby. Next month will actually be 3 years with the Shelby GT350. But as for now, this one's all about the SVT Raptor. And as of the upload date, and right around the time I'm uploading or filming this, 2 years with the SVT Raptor. So there's kind of two ways to tackle an ownership review. One is to talk about the kind of typical running cost and kind of things to expect, how reliable it's been for me. So we're gonna start with that. And then we're just gonna kind of get into the poetry about it and why I love it so much, if I still love it, of course, and all that. After 2 years, you kind of start to see a Raptor in a way that maybe someone living vicariously on YouTube may not totally expect, but not a heck of a whole lot over the last year, but there's some stuff. And don't mind if you hear the huffing and puffing of this pooch right here. She's super pumped about this video like myself. So let's get into it. So to 2014, bought it, one owner, 57,000 miles. And yeah, it was in really great condition, minus some cosmetic stuff. It had a lot of pinstripes on the right side paint, a lot of like surface level scratches. Detailer brought it out to make it look almost new, and then we added a couple of 3M OEM Ford decals, or 3M decals, with the stars and stripes that say Raptor on the sides. I love them. I think they look great, especially on this terrain color that they did for the 2013 and 14 Raptor. I just think it looks super cool. It looks like a little tank, like an M1 Abram. So yeah, this is pretty much my personal tank. I love the look of it now. I would say maybe 2 months into ownership. You know, I always thought the V8 was cool, but from the factory it sounded very choked up, just sounded like a work truck. So the Corsa Extreme exhaust was in due. That's the resonator delete. So just let it exhale a little bit more, and man, this thing is loud, like really loud. I feel like I might not have done that if my car wasn't the Shelby GT350, but I was so addicted to really good free breathing exhaust notes. So when I knew that was a possibility with the Corsa, with this one, had to do it. No regrets at all, love it. Under slow speeds, it just got this like new gurgle to it. Under full wide open throttle, it's a little much in some cases, so be cognizant of that. So anyway, it was exhaling pretty good, and then a few months after that, towards the winter of that year, I decided a cold air intake. You okay? A cold air intake was the thing to do, kind of get it inhale and exhale better. I heard that it could add power, flatten the torque curve, and I kind of thought, yeah, whatever. I heard it was healthy for it, so that's kind of why I did it. As it turned out, I don't know overall power increase, but the torque curve was flattened. In fact, the throttle response is much more lively, I feel, with the cold air intake. So those two were pretty much the only things I've done performance-wise. Pretty minor, but I think they work great. So if you have an SVT Raptor that's stock, a K&N cold air intake for a few $100, the exhaust for maybe 1,000 or 1,100, that's a very good good option. I think it'll just kind of bring this new life to your Raptor. Anyway, if you guys are already familiar with that, then I'll move on. So that's my Raptor. First year with it, I put 18,000 miles, and then the second year with it, I put 9,000. Less miles this year. The pandemic might be part of that, less driving, but also I worked a day job my first year with this, and I probably drove 30 miles a day, 5 days a week for that year. So now I don't have that job, and so just less miles in general. Also, the first year I probably had to itch to go on and off road more, but 9,000 miles in this last year. So now we're sitting at roughly 84 or so thousand miles. And so with that said, has anything kind of changed as far as my opinions or any kind of big major things that you guys should know about bringing this truck up to 84,000 miles, buying it with 57,000? Is there any big thing? Not really. To service this thing, oil change, oil filter change at a Ford dealership with full synthetic oil. Again, this is all pretty variable pricing, because if you did it yourself or went to some other shop, it would only be less than this. But just to give you the worst case scenario, full synthetic at a Ford dealership, filter and oil change, you're looking at just under $100, about 90 bucks or so. My first year, I did two services with it, so it was just under 200 bucks for that. Another thing I should mention too, problems with it. Well, I mentioned this in the first video. My first day out with this truck, I had the itch to go off-roading, and so I did, and I kind of did it wrong. I just wanted to do some big slides and donuts, and so right when I got off-road with this thing, I pretty much parked the truck on some private land. I was ready to romp around, do some off-roading. I went full lock on the steering all the way to the left, and then I mashed the throttle, and within like 30 or 45 seconds, my hydraulic steering pump had broke. And so that was, you know, a little unnerving for my first day out with it. I brought it to the dealership I bought it from. Of course, like I said, I bought it used. Because I didn't buy the initial warranty, they gave me a hard time, but eventually I convinced them to kind of just, you know, take that cost themselves. And so they said, you know what, you just got the truck, sure, we will repair that for you. And so if they hadn't done that, that would have been about $750 or so, if I'm not mistaken. But they took care of that, so I didn't have to absorb that cost, and ever since I haven't had a problem. Now when I have the itch to do donuts, I just don't go full lock on the steering. I just kind of, you know, ease it in there and do some nice big slides, and the steering rack is not upset with me that way. Trying to get some YouTube time? So with that said, that's the only problem I've had. Other than that, first year, 2 routine changes, oil changes and stuff like that, under 100 bucks each. This year, more servicing, a little bit more expensive this time around, but I expected that. This wasn't because something went wrong. It was just something to, you know, do with a 70,000 mile Raptor. So if you guys are prospective buyers kind of looking around on the market, this might be some valuable information, so listen up here. This year, did another oil change at, again, $90 or something like that at a Ford dealer. And then I did another big service, but I knew it was gonna be a big service. When the truck was kind of passing, I kind of waited a little later. I think it was at like 75 or 76,000 miles. It was due for a 70,000 mile big service, which has a lot of things. And that one was kind of an expensive ticket, so probably worth mentioning. That includes the oil change, oil filter change, and I have the little cheat sheet here because I'm not gonna remember everything. Let's go ahead and let these people pass. Now we'll read this off to you guys. Pass me. There we go. All right, so the big service was an oil change, filter change, 16 spark plug change, fuel injection flush, brake flush, axles flushed, and transmission flushed. And they were gonna do the hydraulic steering, but well, we already did that because of previous circumstances, so we didn't have to do that. All of that said and done, again, that's with the full synthetic change and all that stuff, was just about $1,100. But again, that's information worth knowing if you guys are in the market for a truck with maybe 65,000 or 75,000 miles, around that range. You could ask the dealership if that service was already performed. Otherwise, it's gonna be about an $1,100 ticket you're gonna have to absorb, unless you wanna bring it to, you know, Joe Schmo shop, and they might do better work for less money. But I just wanna kind of give you guys the top end. That's what a Ford dealer would charge. And so I feel like that's kind of the number to base all this off. So that's that. That's my last service, and I'm checking my service sticker here. I'm about to go in for another oil change, and that's all it's gonna be. So I'm looking at about another $100 here very, very soon, probably within the next 2 weeks. And that's my 2 years with it as far as cost. On the last video, my 1 year update, I talked about how much I spent in gas. And then I realized that's actually like totally pointless. I'll tell you my fuel economy, but you guys plug that yourself. In Texas, the premium fuel, which likes premium fuel, so make note of that. I take 93 octane. My price here in Central Texas is different than what it's gonna be in California or anywhere else. So all I'll tell you is I haven't set my trip odometers or anything like that, or reset the fuel thing, in about 9,000 miles. And I'm averaging 12.8 miles to the gallon. And to be fair, I'm not really romping on it as much as I was my first year. So it's gone up like 0.1 or 0.2 miles to the gallon, but it's still certainly no Prius. Yeah, 12.8, no reason to sugarcoat it. So take that for what you will. You know, look at the price of your premium fuel. How much do you personally drive it? And, you know, find out what it's gonna cost you. I guess one other expense I forgot to mention, because it's not really routine servicing, is my truck got broken into on the passenger back window last summer. And that window was a couple $100 replacement. Thankfully, Bespoke paint protection film took care of the tint for free. Thank you guys so much. But yeah, a couple $100 for the back window. So, you know, don't absorb that cost by, you know, don't get broken into. But anyway, that's another cost. that's pretty much all I wrote down. That's all I wanted to talk about numerically as far as kind of things that I had to pay for. When I bought the truck, it had fresh brakes, fresh tires, and they still look good because all the abuse they have is pretty much on dirt, so it doesn't really rip through them like, you know, a track day would. With that said, that's pretty much everything I kind of wanted to get out of the way. Now I'm pretty much going to be saying almost the same things as I was saying in the year one review on how much I love it. That has not changed at all. I still love this truck. If someone took it away from me today, I would right away be looking for a very similar one tomorrow. So that's when you know it's a pretty good purchase for you. I love this thing. Don't care what it's worth anymore. I'm keeping it for a very long time. I love Gen 2 Raptors as well. There's like this little I don't know, hypothetical war, I guess, between Gen 1, Gen 2 owners. The truth is, if the Gen 1 never existed, I would be driving a Gen 2 right now. So Raptors in general, I just love for how much they're able to do everything. Right now, I'm just driving on these little windy roads. I don't know if this is a windy road kind of vehicle, but it can do it. If I'm daily driving, highway driving, I live in kind of like North Austin, Central Texas. I've driven it all the way to like Galveston, Houston, Crescent, Fort Worth, Dallas, plenty of times. And it's literally like a big lazy boy that's like very bad on gas. But once you get around that, it's just so comfortable. The sound system, this has got like Sony sound system. It had the tech pack or whatever they called it. So yeah, that's pretty much how much I love it on the daily roads. I would be doing a lot of pulls with the window down, but I think that would kind of scare her, so I might resort to some old footage for that. Feel bad for that one. That was loud. And do I even need to tell you guys how great it is off-roading? Probably not, right? Yeah, the thing's a beast. That's what really took me off guard with this thing. Almost like the appeal, and don't get me wrong, I'm still a huge car guy, obviously, but the appeal I have with sports cars, like let's say a GT3 RS, is that it was kind of developed to be a great track car, but on the road it's great, but then it's such in its element on the road, like a windy road and the track, so you really like that. Same thing with this, except its element on the public road feels great, and then it really comes into its own when you're just on some trails. You could go mud bogging or crawling with this thing. It's not totally set up like that the way a Jeep would be. My favorite form of off-roading with this thing is actually keep it in rear-wheel drive, turn the traction control off if you want to lock the rear differential, and just hoon it around. And it's way cheaper to hoon this thing than it is, let's say, the Shelby. The Shelby's tires are more expensive. You're gonna be going through them way more when it's kind of getting shredded on cement. With this thing, you could kick up some just really fat, you know, dust clouds behind you, whip the tail around, and it's just as fun as I think a good track day would be, but way less expensive and less abusive overall on the vehicle. But, you know, both are great ways to have fun, so there's no denying that. But this truck, a Raptor Gen 1 or Gen 2 off-roading, I just don't think another truck, street legal truck, can do it at the way this one does. So good on Ford for this truck in particular, the Gen 1, thinking that was a good idea to make a truck with a warranty and everything that they say can like run like a Baja race. I just love it. So big statement to say back in like, what was it, 2009 or something like that. This is 2014, the year's now 2020. It's still such a really cool proposition, and they really opened up the whole market for that race truck ready type thing from the factory. You see it on a different level with TRDs. I know Ram's got something in the works. You see something from Chevy. So they really, I think Ford was really the ones that kind of proven that that would be a good market, and it's awesome. So what else can I say, guys? It's a Gen 1 Raptor. It's incredibly reliable. Yes, I broke the hydraulic steering. Don't do donuts at full lock. If you don't do that, you're great. This is the same engine out of the, what was the F250, if you didn't go diesel, work truck. And there's forums out there of people that had flatbed work trucks that got well over 250,000 miles, sometimes 300,000 or 400,000 miles with a 6.2 liter V8. Now it's in the F150 platform, so it might be a little under stress because of the weight, but you know, if you floor it, then that's kind of fun too. But guys, yeah, incredibly fun, incredibly reliable. That's my running cost. That's my 2-year update. Hopefully that's kind of some insight for you guys. If you're in the market, prospective buyers, find a good one, and I say do it. Yeah, at 84,000 miles, I'll tell you right now, this thing actually has gotten better with every mile. Not only does it look a little bit better than the day I picked it up, with the detail and everything like that. When I bought it, it actually was had like 2 tires that were horribly unbalanced. Now it's all balanced out. It drives straight as an arrow. You wouldn't be able to tell this thing's got 84,000 on the odometer. It feels brand new, and so that's a testament to this truck. So yeah, pretty much in short, if you're in the market for one, get one, because they're sweet trucks now. I think they're only gonna get more and more appreciated as time goes on, and kind of large displacements kind of become a little bit more rare. But yeah, anyway, I'm just droning on and on now. That's about it for this video. Again, I'm sorry I haven't been uploading at the kind of rate I used to. It's just kind of the times we're in right now. Kind of crap. But look out next month, and I'll be doing a 3-year update with the GT350. There's a nice Gen 2 Raptor in like with the chalk color. I don't know if you guys can be able to see that, mountain biking. That's pretty sweet. Anyway, yeah, look out 1 month from now, just about, yeah, 3-year GT350 update. Look out for it. But that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys next time. Take care.